Hey guys, it feels like such a long time since I made a video. I don't know what it has been. I don't know. It's been a while. We're now in lockdown 2.0, which doesn't really feel like a lockdown because I take kids to school, I take them up to work, and then I just kind of sit in the house all day, which is really depressing. But yeah, like it seems like the rest of the world's still going on. There's not that many of us this time around that are stuck at home, so it's a bit bizarre. But yeah, I wanted to do a video today about things that I still struggle with, um, things I've always known I've struggled with, but I've not always understood why. So the first one, probably the biggest one, why I'm a bit of a nutcase. I think I've mentioned it, well, I've definitely mentioned it with Jayden, but I don't know, I've kind of not really mentioned it or just sort of touched on it with myself. Rejection sensitive dysphoria. This is something I did not even know existed until maybe, I think it was about six months ago or so. Not long before we started Jade's actual diagnosis, I stumbled across this lovely lady on the Autism Diaries page on Facebook. I did a post on it, and it just totally clicked because I've always said with Jayden that he's got, I call it almost like the polar opposite of PDA. So he's a people pleaser, and any kind of like rejection or criticism or anything like that is a huge thing. And then I realised how many those things are with me and how much I think with this one, I'd say we're as bad as each other, which obviously in some ways, yeah, is difficult. So for me, yeah, I'm needy, like really needy in relationships, like beyond any kind of normal needy level. Like anything that my brain twists anything that they said to me. So like it was Rob's birthday last weekend. Yeah, last weekend. And I thought I'd seen him on the Wednesday, and then he was like, "But you won't see me on my birthday, so I'm gonna see you like Thursday, Friday, Saturday." How's that a bad thing? I don't know. I had a complete total meltdown about it, about the fact that he wasn't seeing me for like one day, because my brain's like, that's rejection. You know, he's making excuses. He just doesn't want to see you. Not like he's made good plans for the rest of the week. My brain could, like, I can logically sit there and be like, yeah, but he's doing it for the right reason. He's doing it so that I can then see him on the days that are his birthday, which I'd already kicked up a fuss about saying I wanted to see him on. But my brain's just like, no, that's not good enough. He's not making you a priority. He's not. He doesn't like you. He doesn't love you. Like I cannot explain it. That's obviously just one little example, but there is something every single day that my brain just twists things. I can't explain it. Like he doesn't think in a million years that he's being nasty, but my brain will tell me that he is. And then I'll tell him he's being nasty. He's like, I'm not. I'm really not. It's perfectly normal, like perfectly normal things, but my brain just twists them into like a criticism or a rejection, and like I don't know. I don't think I'll ever fully understand it, and it's something like I've looked into it, and it can be a trauma thing, so it can be from obviously things that have happened in your past, or it can just be a part of. It's more common in ADHD than autism, and like the more I look at like, I would not think that I could ever have ADHD in a million years because I'm not a hyperactive person. But then that brings us on to the second part, which is executive dysfunction, and again, they're two major components of ADHD. The stupid flight, yeah, which I would never ever thought in a million years. So the last like 12 months I've been thinking like I'm on the spectrum, and now I'm like, well, actually, like the things that I have are more ADHD symptomatic than they are autism, which is crazy because I think like everybody thinks of ADHD as bouncing off the walls, and I am far from having that kind of energy of being bouncing off the walls. Because the second one, executive dysfunction, and I think I have talked about this one before. And again, it's really hard to explain to somebody that has no experience of it or no background of it, because like I'm sat here now knowing that there's like 100 things that need to be done in my house. There's washing up downstairs, there's washing that needs to go in the washing machine, blah 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 blah. And until I force myself now to like make lists and just kind of like tick things off the list. Or something that I've been told as well now is to, it crosses over with spoon theory, because I would say my exhaustion level is partly just that I've always been like this, and it's affected previous relationships, my marriage and things like that, where I wish I'd have known that these were why I struggled with these things back then, because I was always lazy. Like, I wouldn't see myself as lazy, but I would try and explain to Tom, like, when we were married, that, like, but if I do too much today, like, however much I sleep tonight, the exhaustion tomorrow, I will not be able to function tomorrow if I do too much today. And, like, yeah, he couldn't ever understand that, and he'd just be like, "We just lazy, like now, like the spoons theory. I've only discovered that recently, but yeah, spoons theory like fits completely. But executive dysfunction, I only have when it comes to things around the house, so like housework, because it's so overwhelming. I think that's the main thing, is the overwhelmingness of it. So the housework and like letters, bills, those kind of things. Like, I've said this before, but like paying a bill, it could take me days. Like, I just need my debit card in my hand. I need to dial an automated number and type in my card number. Can't do it. Can't make myself do it. Phone calls, anything like that. I can't make, and it's not even really just an anxiety-based thing. It's just like a can't physically do it. Can't do it. My brain says no. Can't do it. But if I want to go and paint a wall, which I did the other day, or do some craft, or like, I can find motivation to do other things. But when it's things around the house, the exhaustion level, like I can't, I just can't. I don't know. Can't tell you why, but my brain just says no, you can't do that. No, please. And I have to physically like force myself to do it. So yeah, going back to what I was trying to say was, with making it a list. So I have to make a list of like everything that I need to do that day, and make myself kind of like accountable for it. But where it comes into spoon theory, for don't know what spoon theory is say like maybe you've got, when you wake up in the morning, you've got 50 spoons. Like everybody's spoons levels are different, but my exhaustion level, I would say I've got 50 spoons. And getting up in the morning, getting the kids up in the morning, having a shower, which isn't always easy, which then crosses over into depression and exhaustion and everything else. But so yeah, so you're getting up in the morning, having breakfast, getting showered, getting dressed, getting the kids ready, getting them out the door to school. That's 10 of my spoons gone. And then picking them up from school, getting home, getting their dinner, that's at least another 10 spoons gone. How to actually do things through the day, like I have a limited number, and they can be gone, and I'm constantly like thinking like, but if I do this, I'm not gonna have the energy to do that, or my brain's not gonna cope with doing this and doing that. And to like a normal person who doesn't struggle with the things that I struggle with, that probably sounds really, really bizarre, but it all crosses over, and you can't pinpoint like what comes down to depression, what comes down to just pure exhaustion, what comes down to the fact that I have a special needs child, what comes down to the fact that I'm autistic, ADHD, whichever it may be. But it all crosses over. So what I've been taught to do now is, when you're writing that list, most people wouldn't ever even think to put on the list the fact that they've got out of bed, got dressed, got the kids out the door. You put those on, you can tick them straight away that you've already, because it's productivity, and you can already say to yourself, well, you've already achieved something because you've done those things, you've got them out the door, you've gotten to school on time, reasonably represented, got everything we need. To me, that part, by like 9 o'clock, I could be exhausted, and to then be like, right, what have I got left to break down my day into, and not to feel guilty when I do sit still for an hour and I do watch a bit of Netflix or something, because we're in lockdown. Like, there's a limit to how much I can do. Like, I'm stuck at home. So to kind of have that balance of accountability of I need to do these things, but also having that guilt that if I do sit and do nothing, I'm going to feel like horrendously guilty for doing that. Like, how do you balance that? My brain can't. My brain, like, it's a vicious cycle of I can't do that, but I'm also going to feel guilty about it at the same time, which like not many people can understand. And that's why I'm very, very lucky with Rob that he gets it, because he's got a crazy brain too, like in completely different ways. Like, he's like scatty crazy, like, whereas my brain needs like routine, my brain needs like familiarity, doing things the easiest way. His brain like is scatty and overcomplicates things, but somehow we kind of, I don't know, yin and yang each other or something, and it works. But yeah, he's incredibly patient, and he doesn't ever moan about anything. He would never dream of walking through that door and just being like, look at the state of this house. He would just pick up, sort out, do whatever, help with the kids, cook the dinner, and understand that sometimes like my exhaustion level just will not physically let me do things. And yeah, it is partly executive dysfunction because, like I said, like I could get up right now and go and paint a wall without thinking twice about it. I don't know whether it's that instant, what's the word? I can look at the wall and be like, it's done. If I start the housework, I don't feel like I've achieved anything because within 5 minutes the kids will be back, and what's the point in tidying the lounge because they're going to trash the place again in 5 minutes anyway. I try to obviously train them to clean up after themselves and that kind of thing, but they're 5, that doesn't really happen. So yeah, just a bit of a moan about the random things that I struggle with. And RSD, I need to actually sit down and really like think about that one and like come back to it in more depth because it's so hard to explain if you don't experience it. It's basically like constant paranoia. It's not paranoia, but it's your brain. You can hear the way that somebody's actually saying something and you know that they love you, but your brain will still twist it into the fact that they don't. So it's like a constant cycle of being needy because you don't even mean to be. I try not to be overly, not overly negative, but dramatic. I don't know, because I do go into like panic mode about things, and then it comes back to like abandonment issues and blah 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 and whatever else. But it's impossible to explain really. But it's something. They're the two things that I would say I struggle most with in my adult life, and RSD as well. Something that I wouldn't have ever. I don't know whether I mentioned this before or not. And criticism. So through my career, obviously now I've been hairdressing for 12 years. And I tend to do people that I've done like hundreds of times before, well, not hundreds, but like multiple times before. But earlier in my career, if somebody, not that I ever used to like screw people's hair up, but if it was maybe slightly different to an image they had in their head, or they changed their mind slightly on what they wanted, that's perfectly normal when it's somebody that's fairly new to you. But if I got that message or that phone call to say, can you redo it? I don't know, like that would, my entire day, if not week, I would be devastated. I would want to change career. I'd think that like I'm never gonna do anyone's hair again. Like drama level, like heartbreak. Like it's, I think the definition of it is that it's like a physical heartbreak, like a physical pain. I think that's where the word dysphoria, I think it's the word dysphoria comes from. It's like the physical pain caused by the thought of like any kind of criticism or rejection by somebody, like not by anybody, because like not obviously like people that don't matter to you, but anything that's important to you. So obviously my career, my relationship, anything like that, then that's where it comes from. And this has been a bit of a babbling, unplanned, well not unplanned, I planned on doing this video for a long time, but I didn't really think through what I was actually going to say. So yeah, if you've made it to the end, well done.